Hi, I'm Brad Bonkowski, Carson City Supervisor for Ward 2, and this is It's Your City for December 18th, 2014. We started our board meeting off with some length of service awards for employees, and then we had a special presentation of a signed aerial photograph and some cake for Supervisor John McKenna, as it was his last meeting after 20 years of public service. So after that presentation, we recessed the meeting for about 15 or 20 minutes, and the audience and the board had cake, and everybody had a little celebration for John in his last meeting. So I wish John the best of luck in his future endeavors. When we recessed or came back to the board meeting, we took up liquor license, the liquor board, and we approved a liquor license for the Tahoe Brewing Company doing business as the District Brewing Company in the old brewery building downtown on Carson Street. And they should be open no later than January 19th for business. So I would encourage everybody to go down and check them out once they open. I've had their pizza. Their pizza is very good, and I can't wait to try their beer. We then recessed as the Liquor and Entertainment Board and took up business for the Board of Supervisors. And one of the first issues that we addressed was a new 10-year lease for Evans Broadcasting Company on the Public Works site on Butteye Way. They currently have a radio antenna on the site there, but they have a 6-acre site now because their antenna is a little outdated. So we're reducing the area for their lease to approximately 1 acre, relocating it to a different location where it'll be a little more out of the way on the Public Works site, and they are going to enter into a new 10-year lease. So that works out well for both Evans Broadcasting and for the city. We get more of our corporate yard space back, and they're going to get a new antenna and a long-term lease. The next item that we took up was a proposal to rename the Edmond Sports Complex the Pete Livermore Sports Complex. And that, I think, was overdue. I wish that we'd had the opportunity to do that while Pete was still alive, as he was instrumental in bringing that sports complex to fruition, and it was a main focus of his time in public service. So we did approve that item, and that sports complex will now be known as the Pete Livermore Sports Complex. Then we started some discussions and provided some feedback to staff on a proposed landscape maintenance district for Schultz Ranch down where the old racetrack is in the southeast part of town. This is a first for Carson City, where we will enter into a development agreement with the developer that's going to build that project out, and the developer will build the open space improvements, parks, and dedicate those to the city. The city will take on the maintenance of those improvements, and there will be an assessment district for the housing development to help offset the maintenance cost for that project. So that will come back to us hopefully in a final form in one of the meetings in January, so that we can finalize that agreement and move forward with it. Then we reappointed Dr. Susan Pintar as Carson City's health officer for the next 2-year period. She's been in that position for a few years now. She does an excellent job. She's very knowledgeable, and she is the liaison between the Health and Human Services Department and the Board of Supervisors as part of the Board of Health. We also addressed a food vendor contract with Capital Beverage to supply all the vendor supplies for the ice skating rink, so the concessions. We did indicate that starting next year we would like to have contracts of that nature go out to bid, just to make sure that that both we and the public know that we are getting the best value on those contracts. So we did approve this contract for Capital Beverage, but starting next year, we should see those contracts go out to bid. We also approved a contract with Charles Abbott and Associates, who now provides the building inspection services for Carson City, and we expanded their scope of work to include the building permit counter services. So now when you go into the building department, it will be a Charles Abbott employee that is behind the counter to help you with any building permit needs that you may have, as well as any inspection services, building department inspection services that you have after you've gotten your permit and started construction. We also approved a contract with Eurofins Eaton Analytical to supply water quality testing for Carson City. So we have to test all of our wells for our municipal system. That's a federal requirement, and there are fines and violations associated with that if we don't do it properly. So we approved a 2-year contract with this firm to supply that testing in an amount of $272,720 over the 2-year period. We also approved submitting an application to prepare historic structure reports, which are required as part of the plans to use the Nevada State Prison as a museum or other uses. So in order to move forward with our efforts to try to create a museum out of the Nevada State Prison, we have to supply these reports on each building on the campus to determine what would be required to restore the buildings. So we've submitted an application for a grant. Hopefully we'll get that grant so that we can get the reports done and move one step closer to our goal, which is to have the Nevada State Prison as a museum in the future. We also had a presentation and discussion on the implementation of a commercial vitalization district in the downtown corridor. So we got an update from staff on their efforts with property owners to create that district, and it seems to be proceeding well. I think that this item will come back to us for implementation of the district sometime in January or February, and that is a petition initiative that will be implemented by the property owners themselves. So this will be brought forward by the property owners and not by the city. The city staff is just working with the property owners in the implementation of that. So expect to see that item come back in January or February to actually implement the district. We also approved and accepted the Carson City Comprehensive Annual Financial Report for the fiscal year 2013 and 14, and we received a clean audit for the city for the last fiscal year. There were only 2 very minor items that were noted in the audit, and we accepted corrective action items to take care of both of those. They were basically minor bookkeeping items that were easily taken care of and don't affect the overall impact of the audit. So once again, we've had a very clean audit for the city, and our finances are on track and doing well. That was it for our morning session, so we recessed for lunch. When we came back in the afternoon, we heard some committee appointments, and we reappointed William Prowse to the Carson City Audit Committee for a 2-year term, and we reappointed Mark Kimbrough to the Regional Transportation Commission, also for a 2-year term. After we heard the committee appointments, we addressed the final 3 items on our agenda for the day, which were labor negotiations and contracts for 3 bargaining units. So we held public hearings for the Deputies Association, the Supervisors Association, which is the sergeants, and then the Fraternal Order of Police on behalf of the alternative sentencing officers. So we had the public hearings and we approved the contracts for all 3 bargaining units. The deputies' contract is for a 3-year term. The sergeants is a 4-year contract, and alternative sentencing was a 3-year contract. So I don't believe we have any other bargaining contracts that will be coming up in the next few years. So we have that item taken care of. I'm not sure that either party felt like they got exactly what they wanted in that negotiation. It was a long, tough negotiation, but we were finally able to come to an agreement that everybody could live with. And that was the end of our day for the 18th. And so until next time, thank you very much.